Hello and welcome back to the She Is Me conference. We are so fortunate to be joined today by Kay Hamilton, the Courage Activator, all the way from Tasmania. Kay, take it away.
Oh, thank you very much, Lisa. What an amazing event to be a part of with so many women sharing their powerful stories and offering hope to people. And, well, more than hope, I think really offering some solutions and offering the opportunity to believe in yourself and to believe in your journey so that each of us can become the best versions of ourselves possible. So my story began, my turning point in life began when my husband left me, and I had 3 young children, and my husband walked out on me and left us to our own devices. So I was in, needless to say, a lot of shock and a lot of trauma, and really kind of my whole world was shattered. And I was left in a situation where I really didn't know how I was going to survive, let alone look after my 3 young children. So my name is Kay Hamilton, and I'm the Courage Activator, and my mission these days is to support women to move on from whatever it is that's holding you back, because staying stagnant and staying in a state of that despair, the distraction, all of those things that compromise our ability to get on with life in the way that each and every one of us deserve. It is always a good idea to learn how to transform things. Now, my previous journey as a child was I went to church. I was brought up in a loving home, and I was very well supported by my parents. So I wasn't really equipped to cope with disaster. That was not on a practical level. I think my inner strength was quite strong. However, I had kind of stopped my spiritual, what would you say, I'd stopped my working actively with my spirituality, because there were a lot of things that didn't seem to stack up for me in what we were learning when we went to church. So my turning point was when I realised that there was no one I didn't have anyone to help rely on me. So that led me to an inward journey. And throughout that inward journey, I came across what I would call survival tools to help me to cope. And the beginning of my journey, I learnt Reiki, and I did quite a few self-help or self-development courses, day courses. I got into meditation, and I just started bringing all these tools into my toolbox. In 2010, I came across Young Living essential oils, and they have been a major part of my toolbox, so to speak, these days. So along with my intention, my energy work, and my journey through learning how colour can be one of the vibrational tools that we can use, I had also worked with Aurosoma. And for those of you who don't know what Aurosoma is, it is coloured bottles with herbs in and the energies of crystals, the energies of plants. And they had some prayers, incantations imbued into the bottles. And I learned how to do readings with those. So that's where my beginning came from with my journey through colour. However, now I'm mainly just working with the Young Living oils, and I have devised my own method of activating people's courage through a journey of colour and essential oil recommendations. I had recovered, or had been putting myself back together for many years after my divorce. However, because I had not fully put myself back together before I got involved in another relationship, I took a deep dive into a disastrous relationship, and my 3 children and myself, I had experienced uh, many layers of abuse on all levels, in all areas. And that made me realise that unless we're going to put ourselves back together before we step into another relationship or before we move forward, we're inviting more disaster into our life. So I really believe that inward journeys and gathering our tools for the trade, whatever it may be, and that can be something different for everyone. Everybody has their own journey, and we all have something that we feel attracted to. So the beautiful vibrations of these gorgeous oils have truly supported me. Now, just before I hopped on the show, because I love to honour Gary Young, who created these beautiful oils, I put on Gary's Light. Now, this is a beautiful oil that helps me to tap into the light of Gary Young. And when I'm feeling a little bit like I need some extra light, what I will do is just put an oil on. I'll reach out for an oil, and this is how I might use it. So I would just put one drop, because people often ask me, what do I do when I get my oils? So I put a drop, I activate it, I smell it, breathing it in, allowing my lungs to fill up with beautiful energy, and I will wave it in my aura or in my energy field, because then that expands my energetic presence to feel expanded, to feel, encouraged and in confidence. So throughout my journey, which is ever going, everlasting, I think learning is lifelong. And I believe that we all have the ability to make the changes that we need, and we all have the ability to transform whatever it is that's holding us back. However, we all have resistance, we all have lessons, we all have fear. And all of those things, that negative side of our journey can hold us back, can keep us from being stuck. And that's where these oils come in for me and for many people. So what we can do with these oils is when we breathe them in, or when we're diffusing them in our home, we can impart an ambience, an energy, or a mood. We can uplift everyone in our household. We can bring ourselves out of anxiety and low vibrational feelings through the sense of smell. So when we smell an oil, it goes through the receptors. We breathe them in, goes through the receptors in our nose, and it gets sent into the back part of our brain. And what they do is they release some of those past memories. So instead of our trauma being stuck in our mind and stuck in our energy field, these emotions and memories can be released with a whole lot of ease. And then we are offered a whole opportunity for bringing something new into our life. So to me, it's transmuting the negativity and opening the doors of possibility. So throughout my work now, what I do is I work with colour. I'll just show you a couple of my designs this is one of the drawings that I've done, and I've photocopied of one of my clients. So when somebody comes to me with an issue, what I will do is I will get you to go into a state of where the block is, and through a process that I walk people through, I help you to bring out whatever it is and touch on whatever it is, the specific area or the specific memory that is blocking you. And then through my work with people, I help you to discover your full potential and help you to step into your courage by tapping into your heart and tapping into your inner desires, and give you the courage, the impetus, the incentive, the motivation, whatever it is that's lacking, or whatever it is that you need to ignite so that you can step into the fullness of who you truly are. And I always imagine a world where, imagine imagine if each and every one of us steps into our full power, which is what's happening, I believe. Our world is going through a huge amount of transformation at the moment. And when each and every one of us steps into our full magnificence, and when we move away from the fear of exploring who we are or the fear of expressing who we are, as we transmute all those things that block us and hold us back, we are then given the ability to step into the greater being. No longer do we worry about what's holding us back. My journey has taken me from being a mother of three, breastfeeding my youngest one and trying to survive, doing all those survival steps, putting one foot in front of the other and just getting through your day. My journey took me from that. Once I transformed and dealt with everything that I had to deal with in my trauma, throughout my trauma, dealing with the survival part of looking after my children, dealing with the trauma of my own abuse and supporting my children through their abuse, that has enabled all of us to move on. And I've now become somebody who will jump onto a She Is Me conference, and I've put myself out there in the world in a whole new way. And there is a beautiful energy rising from each and every one of us who are rising together and stepping into our power. My question is, if you were not happy about something, what do you do about it? Because if we internalize everything and we think that the answers are just going to come from within, or if we think that we don't need support from other people, I think our journey is going to be a lot more challenging. Whereas if you become more real with where you're feeling and more open to be vulnerable and reach out, you will find when you are energetically ready for the answers to come, or when you're ready to meet somebody, you can then open the door for potential and possibility. Now, some of the oils that I might be using, if I didn't have these oils when I started my journey, but throughout the time now, and no matter what journey we have, we all still come to what I would call a block in the road. So if I was feeling that I needed support, I would be looking at a blend called Gathering. I'm not sure if I've got my Gathering here. Not necessarily here, but I would be looking for my blend called Gathering, and that helps me to gather my energy, all those fragmented parts of myself, and to pull those parts of myself back in to my energetic field and back into my state of mind, so that then I can feel more uplifted, more grounded, and more balanced about gathering those around me who I need. So when I feel that I want support, or I want to bring in a new layer or some new people, I will put some Gathering on. And I always use intention, because we know that our intention is what supports the outcome. So our thoughts direct energy. I love that saying. So when I use an essential oil, I will use it with the intention of what I want to gain. So another oil that I would be reaching for during a time of trauma is transformation, because transforming all those things within ourselves is what's going to help us open up and blossom. So transformation helps us to get over that, to move through those blocks that we feel might be hampering our journey. We have lots of oils. We say there's an oil for everything. So being a courage activator, what I do is ask you to come with your intention, and then I will intuit what oils are going to support you. So we have a beautiful blend called Valor. Now that is the oil that you would be using for your courage and for your confidence. It's the oil that's going to help you feel very strong within yourself. And I believe it was one of the most powerful oils that I used when I actually started using these when I was going through some court case processes with my children, and it was a very, very. I look back and I remember how nerve-wracking it is, and or it was, or how you go in with all this fear that things aren't going to work out, or there's so much uncertainty. So I would be wearing valor, and I would be when I had to go in and be on the stand, or when I had to go to an appointment with the prosecutor, when we were doing statements, when I was in the position of having to tread through all those challenges along the way, I started using these beautiful oils, and Valor was the one that helped me to unhook from whatever it was that was triggering my fear. And it would give me the ability to feel calm, to feel strong, and to feel composed. And it helped me not to be triggered by things. So once we start empowering ourselves, then we can move forward with a whole lot of grace, with a whole lot of strength. And one of the biggest lessons I did learn was the fact that my fear expanded and took me down paths that never became reality. So our mind can play tricks on ourselves, and our mind can, if we let it get away from ourselves, it can just put you on this perpetual cycle of feeling like you're never going to get anywhere, or feel like there's nothing you can do about things. So I have a very firm belief in our thoughts being the masters of our destiny. So all thought directs energy. So I began my journey by finding affirmations. I would get out my journal and start writing down positive things. I started making goals and building dreams, started yearning and bringing into reality what it was that I wanted to achieve. And little by little, those things started happening. Our belief system is such a powerful thing. And we even have an oil called Believe. So if you're having trouble with your belief system, you could put some Believe on, and that is going to help you see through the darkness and bring some light in. It is so important that we go back to that little innocence of childhood, or we allow the childlike abilities, the joy, the fun, the laughter, all of those things help to raise our vibrations. So everything that we can do to bring in something that is going to work for you, you need to go and find what your passion is. We even have an oil called Live Your Passion. And because I think the thing is, when you get so downtrodden, particularly when we've been listening to messages that we've had throughout our childhood, that can happen, as a 2-year-old, it can happen as a 5-year-old, no matter what. We all have times where we've locked heads with a message that we've been given. And what I've discovered with when I work with people is that when I take people back to the memories of where we start in the here and now, and then I take you back through your timeline until you get to a point where you resonate with the origin of the message that was given to you. And then what we do is we release that. So when we release those messages, it is very empowering because it opens the door to bring something new in. And the oil I reach during these times is an oil called Release. And this oil is very powerful. So you rub it on your liver and over your heart. You can release the broken heart. You can release the emotions that get caught in our body. Now, when we've got those emotions caught in our body, they get stuck. And that means there's no room for the good things to come in. So I will bring in the oil called release when I work with people, if I feel it's applicable to them. You release those emotions, those memories, and then you bring into the here and now some new uplifting vibrations, energies, thoughts, dreams. And throughout a session with me, by the end of the session, people will feel empowered, whole, ignited, and activated to move into a whole new place of moving forward. Now, does that mean that we're going to solve our problems in a flash? No, not necessarily. But it does mean that you have a very powerful place for a whole new beginning. And I'm a strong believer in just placing one foot in front of the other. I think as women, we become very overwhelmed with all the thoughts that go running around in our head like a mouse on a treadmill. So the idea is what we need to do is stop. We need to take some breaths, and we need to take stock of what's been running around in our life. Because if we don't stop and take stock, we're just going to keep repeating where we've come from. And do you think Creator, or our inner sense of who we truly are, wants to live a life like that? I would definitely say absolutely not. We are here to experience joy. We're here to experience fullness. And our job as women, as parents, our job is to be the best version of ourselves possible. And that is only going to happen when we do the inner work. I would hate to think that I would be still stuck in an unhappy marriage. And I've had to turn around my viewpoint on that, because when it first happened, I was totally devastated. But I didn't want to stay in that state of devastation. So that gave me, I am now actually grateful for that experience. Otherwise, I would have been living a life where I was just satisfied with just a life. Now I realise that if I'd stayed in that marriage, it would have been not just a life, it would have been a life of misery and a life that was not fulfilled. So sometimes disaster happens because we really need to take a bigger dive into who we really are and what our purpose is here on the earth. And I truly believe that within each and every one of us, we have a seed of wonderment, a seed of beauty, a seed of potential and possibility. That seed now, once you realise that seed is within you, it needs to be nurtured so that we can grow into our full magnificence. So what are we prepared to do? Are we prepared to live a life of mediocrity, or are we prepared to take some action? And this is where a lot of us get stuck, because those action steps are not necessarily we're not given a book of this is the exact way we need to go. So through our fumbling, through our mistakes, does it mean that once you turn that corner that everything's going to be smooth sailing? No, not necessarily. But I do remember when I was at my lowest point, I remember one day very clearly, I could just close my eyes. I could remember for some reason I was out the front of my property, standing on the edge of the road, and I remember having this thought that deep within me was this little tiny spark of light and a little tiny spark of excitement. There was this something that was new and fresh for me. And I went on this journey to expand that inner light. So I encourage each and every one who is going through a challenging time, and we all have different stories. However, we all have this inner light that can be nurtured. That's like a plant. If we put some water on our plants, they'll grow. If we give them love, they'll grow. And I think as women, we're more likely to give our love away to everybody else. However, the first thing we really need to do is to give that to ourselves. when we give love to ourselves, no, it's not selfish. It's actually empowering. And the more love we give to ourselves and the more we acknowledge our own needs, wants, desires, dreams, visions, the more we pour our energy into that, the, the more expanded we become in our ability to offer our love and parts of us to others. And that is far more empowering for other people as well. When we give ourselves and when we become the beacons, I remember making a decision that I wanted to become a beacon of light for other people, to ignite them, to help them to activate the true sense of who they really are. And that journey took me quite a few years, and I'm still evolving into that journey. I feel very privileged to be invited to be part of this conference where we are all here together to uplift each other. So my message is, if you are not in a place in life where you would like to be, if you do nothing about it, nothing will happen. If you make some quiet moments within yourself to give yourself a pledge that you are ready to change and that you will make those changes no matter what it takes. Once you make that decision, the rest actually starts to flow your way. I remember one day I said I needed to get out of a situation I was in, and I just did a prayer. I said, "Dear God, I wanted to travel actually from one side of the country to the other and take my children." This is when I first learnt of some abuse that was happening with my children. I was totally devastated and I wanted to get out of the situation I was in. And I said, "Dear God, I want to go to Perth. I don't know how I'm going to get there. You organise it." Well, lo and behold, 5 days later, I'd travelled to another state. I'd started my journey. I didn't know where I was going. I bundled the kids in the car, but I had faith. And I said, "Dear God, how am I please send me to Perth. I don't know how I'm going to get there." And I spoke to my friend in Melbourne, and he said, "Well, we're going to Perth on Friday. Why don't you come with us?" And that was it was so amazing. And I went on this road trip with some friends, and they had lots of adults. I had 4 kids by then, and we had this amazing journey. Now, my message is, we don't have to have the answers already laid out before us, but we do need to have faith that things are going to come and we will be supported along the way. If we don't put the intention out there, the thought, the idea, if we don't follow those divine nudges, we don't know where we're going to. Well, if we don't follow the divine nudges, well, we're just going to stay stuck. Now, my nudge in 2010 was to buy some beautiful essential oils. And when I came across Young Living, that took my whole journey to a whole other level of transformation. And that was just me following my divine nudges. I've had the blessing to win 8 trips around the world with Young Living. And, if you told me back, 20 years ago that I was going to win 8 trips around the world, I would have been blown away. I wouldn't have believed it. But following your nudges is going to take you places you would never have dreamt of, and inviting possibility, believing that there is something more for you in life is the first step, and then taking the action is the next step. So reach out to people and follow those nudges. If you're interested in activating your courage, you can contact me. I'd love to support your journey. I work with people online, doesn't matter where you are in the world, and I truly enjoy the passion that I have of activating other people's courage so that they can live the best version of themselves possible, live to our highest potential, believe that we've got whatever we have within us once we take that first step. So action is much better than inaction, because through action your dreams will come true, and you never know what is around the corner once you open the door to possibility potential and to the real spark within you that can become magnificent. So I wish all the women in the world, I send a prayer out now, a blessing for all the women in the world. And for you, whoever you are, who you are listening, I hope that this message has has been received within your heart and within your mind to activate your courage to get out in the world and to experience the joy, the blessings, and the bliss that is there for each and every one of us. So thank you very much for listening. And Lisa's coming back here. Hello, Lisa. Oh, I can't hear you.
How is that?
Yes.
There we go. Thank you so much, Kay. Thank you for making time in your schedule and for allowing us to experience your insight and your energy.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much for having us, Lisa. I think this is an amazing conference, and without you, it wouldn't be happening. So
It
together we can all shine. It's wonderful.
absolutely. Thank you. We
Thank
will be
you.
back at 4 o'clock with Rebecca Smith McGovern and some amazing, amazing session. We'll be back.